Hi, my name is Lexi Jong and welcome to my channel. Today we are talking about NATASHA DENONA CHROMIUM liquid eyeshadows. So these are the new multi-chrome shadows that she released, and I picked up two of the shades. I started with one, I was playing with it, I really liked it, so I picked up a second. So let's go ahead and discuss the products. The chromium shadows come packaged in a box that is color-coded with one of the colors in the shift. You can see that it's a little shiny. It's a textured feeling. And these are going to be made in Italy. They are not tested on animals. They're silicone-free, mineral oil-free, fragrance-free, gluten-free, talc-free, paraben-free, alcohol-free, and nanomaterials-free. So she has definitely tried to keep in mind some ingredient concerns when formulating this. There is a 6-month shelf life on these. And again, since it is a liquid product, if you are applying it, unless you're keeping it 100% sanitary, you probably do want to follow that 6-month rule just because of the amount of bacteria that you're getting in the product from either dipping your finger in or using the applicator on your eyes and so forth. It's like mascara. You really don't want to play any games with the safety of your eye health. So the 6-month shelf life, I would say, is probably going to end up being pretty accurate from the date of opening. Application recommendations are directly from the applicator or using a finger. I have found that I also enjoy using a synthetic eye brush for application as well. And I think for me, that's the easiest way to do it to get the most control, and it doesn't seem to dilute the color payoff at all. These shadows are 2.5 milliliters or 0.08 fluid ounces. They retail for $28 each. So they are rather expensive for a multi-chrome liquid shadow if you compare it to some of the indie brands that have come out. And I personally haven't tried any from the indie brands. I know Sydney Grace has some liquid multi-chrome shadows that looked gorgeous. I remember seeing them a while back on Mel Thompson's channel. And when I have gone to the Sydney Grace website, every time I've gone since that video, they've never been in stock. So I don't know if they're not there anymore or what, but I haven't seen them and it's been a very long time, like well over 6 months. So other than that, I do know other indie brands have some liquid multi-chromes. They are at a less expensive price point, per ounce, but I personally really like this formula. I do not have others to compare it to. Now, let me start off by saying that I have tried liquid eyeshadow formulas in the past, and I think this is a really good one. So this shade here is Infra Nude, and this is the lightest shade in this collection. And you can see that just with one swipe, you get a lot of color payoff. You can see that shift. It's kind of got like this pinky gold and green, and it's just really pretty. The shade of that pinky tone is a little bit more of a softer pink than some of the others, like Dog Bane, I believe, is a brighter pink and so forth. So this just makes it slightly more, what you would consider a wearable shadow. The other shade that I picked up is Scarab. And this is the green and gold shift. And I mean, look at that. So there's like a hint of blue in it, but it's really pretty. So you can actually see through this container. This is plastic, and you can see the product in there, and the way the plastic tube kind of acts, not really like as a prism per se, but you sort of get a little bit of that effect, so you can actually see the color shifts of the product in here. So when you look at this, you see the gold in the middle and then green and blue on the edges. So you can see exactly what color shifts will be in there. Here's the Infra Nude. You can see that pink and then the gold with like a tinge of green at the end. So these swatches, let's talk about the actual formula. Let me show you how quickly these things dry. So this one, almost dry. You can still get some off, but you're not going to be able to completely move the product around. So you can see that they are going to dry quickly. You're going to want to do one eye at a time. And definitely, you know, just keep in mind that they will dry pretty quickly. That doesn't bother me. I feel like that's true of most liquid shadows today. And that's actually good in a way because it helps reduce smudging as you're going in for like more detail or things like that. The actual formula is very thin and feels weightless on the eyes. Again, you can see that the color payoff, it's very saturated. You really only need one swipe. If you would like to make it slightly deeper, you could apply additional layers, but what I would recommend doing is let this dry first and then apply an additional layer on top of that. If you go in with more product while it's still a little tacky, it just doesn't look as good. It doesn't look as smooth. So if you let it set and then apply another layer, it can go slightly deeper, but honestly, you really only need one coat. I have found that I prefer just to use the one coat for the most part. Now, layering these shadows, let me show you that on my hand as well. And I also did that right in the center of my eyes today as well. So here is a new swatch of the Infra Nude. And I'm gonna put the Scarab over it, just over here at the end. So you can see that the Scarab goes on top, but it's not completely opaque to it. And you can actually take a finger or a brush and you can kind of blend those together a little bit so you get a better transition. So you are able to get a pretty seamless transition between colors if you'd like to use multiples. This is actually what I ended up doing on my eyes today. I have the Infra Nude in the inner portion and the Scarab on the outer portion, and I blended them together for a transition in the center. All right, let's check. It's now been a couple minutes. So the Scarab shade here, not really budging. I got a tiny bit of the glitter off, but it's pretty much, you know, done. Let's check the Infra Nude. Yeah, it's about the same. So just a tiny bit. And, you know, in general, you want to work very quickly with those. Now for application, you can actually apply these on top of a powder product if you'd like. I do have a wear test that I will be showing you in a couple of minutes that shows you the wear of the chromium shadows with and without a primer, because these really do last pretty much all day, you know, depending on how long your day is. So you don't need a primer. If you are going for a very, very long day, then I would recommend using a primer, but you know, you'll see in the wear test that they actually hold up remarkably well. These things don't budge, but when it comes time to remove your makeup at night, you know, I use the Bioderma Sensibio, the micellar water, and it just comes right off. You know, there's no struggling to get any of the product off. It comes off with ease, and, you know, overall, I think it's a very nice formula. Now, as I was saying, you can use a powder product underneath. So if you want, you could do like a complete eye with powder shadows and just use these to enhance, or to use them as an eyeliner. And I did use it as an eyeliner in my Get Ready With Me video. I'll link that here so you can take a look and see what that looked like. What I have decided that I like doing is just some sort of natural crease color, or even if I'm going for something more dramatic, some sort of more dramatic eyeshadow in the crease and more up on the brow bone with powder. And then I like to keep the liquid down on the actual mobile lid. And that has just been my preference, but putting powder underneath or no powder at all doesn't seem to make a difference with the wear of these shadows or the application. Without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at the wear test, and then I will also show you today's application, and we'll meet back here for some final thoughts. We're going to play around with the NATASHA Denona Chromium liquid eyeshadow in Scarab, and I am not using any primer or anything on my lid. And then we'll put primer on the other lid. All right, so that's just straight with the applicator. This is the Linda Hallberg 304. Just gonna kind of blend that a little bit at the creases. This color is pretty incredible. For comparison, I'm going to use the Hourglass Veil Eye Primer on my left eye. And then we'll do the same application. I actually put a little bit less eyeshadow on this one. There we go. I made kind of a mess here. All right, and then here's the, again, the 304 brush from Linda Hallberg. See if I can clean any of this up a little bit. Oh good, it's still a little wet. Wow, it's so shiny. All right, I'm just going to test this a little. I'm taking just a bit on my finger and I'm gonna just put another layer right in the center. Just want to see if that does anything. I think it just made it a little bit brighter there. Just going back in with that 304 and just seeing if this blends anything. Kind of made it a little bit of a mess here. All right, it has already set down. Not really getting anything up. So now I'm going to take the Linda Hallberg 301 brush. And I'm going to just get a little bit on here for the lower lash line. Just tapping what's left on the brush in the inner corners. All right, so there's my look with the Scarab. And again, no primer on the right side and primer on the left. So we'll see how they do throughout the day. We are 3.5 hours in with the NATASHA DENONA CHROMIUM shadows, and so far everything is staying put. I don't see any difference between the side with the primer or without. Everything looks exactly the same. Here are the ND shadows after 6 hours, and I think they are holding up great. So I did try to, you know, kind of smudge my inner corner. Like I rubbed it to see if anything would come off, and I'm getting maybe like a tiny bit of glitter, like right from where it actually gets a little wet, but anything like on my actual lid, it doesn't budge at all. And again, I mean, so far everything looks good. Both sides look the same as they did this morning. This is my last update on the ND Chromium shadows, and it has been 8.5 hours, and you can see that everything has held up well. Primer is not necessary on these, and I think everything has lasted. I'm really impressed with how well everything has lasted. So very, very nice performance. I am back for one more quick update. It has now been 12 hours. And again, this eye has the Hourglass Veil eye primer on, and I think it looks great. There is no real like creasing or fading or anything like that. I think it has held up well. I'm still not really getting anything when I swipe my finger across it. On the other hand, this side here without the primer, I do have a tiny bit of creasing. Can you see it? You know, kind of like right around there. And it's just a tiny bit, but I guess if you're gonna wear it for 12 hours or longer, you might want a primer, but overall, I think it's not necessary for most situations. This is the Infra Nude from a distance. See the color shift. And I'm going to bring you in closer. And here's Infra Nude up close. I have the Hourglass Veil Eye Primer on my lids, and we're going to start off with the crease shade on the Sonia G Crease 2 brush, and this is from the NATASHA Denona Glam palette. Wiping off that brush, I'm going to go into the transition shade. I'm just going to go over the crease and onto the brow bone. Just kind of blend those together a little bit, but making it lighter more towards the inner portion. Next up, I'm taking the NATASHA Denona. This is the Infra Nude in the Chromium, and this is the Linda Hallberg 303, and I'm going to get some on the brush here. And I'm dabbing this kind of in the inner corner. I'm going to spread this out a bit. Now I'm going to switch to the Scarab shade. And again, I'm going to use the same brush, but I'm getting it more on the sides of the brush this time. And I'm just going to kind of start from that midway point and work my way out. And I'm just tapping over where the two meet. Just going back in with this Crease 2 brush and just kind of checking these, see if I can blend anything right by the crease. And you can see I made a little bit of a mess here, so taking my microfiber cloth and seeing if I can get any of that off. And there we go. Perfect. It looks like it was actually just a piece that clung to a fallen eyelash, so no big deal. Next, I'm gonna line the eyes. I'm gonna do the outer half with Scarab and the inner half with the Infra Nude. I'm using the Linda Hallberg 301 brush. To finish this up, I'm just taking the Linda Hallberg Black Core Crayon, and I'm just going to do a little bit of black right as close to the lash line as I can get. All right, so I did a light line of the Linda Hallberg Black Core Crayon on the upper lash line, and then I used the Chantecaille Brightening Eye Kaujal in Nude on the lower waterline, and the Mad Eyes Mascara in Brown. And that's it. So I'll move you back out for a distance shot. And this is the final look from a distance. You can see the color shifts. Thanks. I hope those were helpful. Now, before I forget again, I did want to mention that these chromium shadows are considered limited edition. I have no idea how long they will be around for, but I personally really like them. I'm considering picking up a third and maybe just holding on to it, but I really like them. And if you are interested in, you know, a holiday look that is super easy to apply but looks very sparkly, these shadows are incredible for that. I mean, look at the color shift and just how smooth they are on your eye. I do have, you know, some, you know, wrinkles and stuff on my eyelids. They are not perfectly smooth. And these shadows, I feel like they don't emphasize that because of that color shift. It's just, it's not something you would notice. So I think they work very well. And I personally really like them. Now, I find these shadows to be very multi-use in a fashion. So not only can you use them as an all-over lid color, which looks gorgeous, you can blend them, you can use them as an eyeliner. I think they look gorgeous as a winged liner, or even just like a subtle liner along your lash line to kind of have something a little special when you're doing a more neutral eye look. I think that is a really nice touch as well. If you want something really interesting, you can also brush these on your eyelashes and have some, you know, colorful eyelashes. And I have tried that. I didn't film it, I should have, but it looks pretty cool. So I think if you do like some sort of like dark smoky eye or something, and then you have those color lashes, it's kind of interesting. And so especially if you're somebody who likes to do some more dramatic looks, you know, or something for Halloween, I think it's kind of just, it's fun to play with. These shadows, I believe, are in 5 shades. So I have Infra Nude and Scarab. There is Dogbane and Ultraviolet. Ultraviolet is another one that I'm considering picking up. And I forget what the other one is, but the others are all more of that pinky purple type shade. And I feel like NATASHA Denona kind of missed out on one particular color story that I would love in these shadows. So I'm hoping she'll add it to the line at some point, but I would love one that shifts blue, green, and purple. And most of the purpley ones are all more that pinky purple. I'd love to see more of a blue purple shade. So, you know, that would be my request. But overall, I absolutely love these. I really love the colors that I picked up. And I have heard that the other 3 shades can look kind of similar to each other on the eye. You know, obviously I don't have those, so I haven't tried them. But I do see, you know, there are some similarities even just with these 2 colors, which that's one of the reasons I picked them up, because they do have a little bit of that similar gold shift to them. So I feel like they blend well together and just give you a little bit more dimension when you mix them. So for me, I actually like the fact that there are similarities in the colors, because I think it makes it easy to tie them in, but that's a personal opinion. Just one more thing that I would like to note is that when these actually dry down, and let's say you forget you have makeup on, you rub your eyes or something, you're really not getting anything off. You're not gonna move it with your tissue or anything like that. So I actually included a note in the wear test if you caught that, but I had in the inner corner where your tear duct is, I had wiped that with a tissue. I got a tiny bit of glitter off, but you know, that was it. You couldn't see anything actually shift. I think it was what was actually in the tear duct. Oh, and that brings me up to one more point. The way these feel when you apply them, it is kind of a cooling sensation because of the liquid and, you know, the quick evaporation rate with the drying time. So you do have a bit of a cooling sensation, not like mint, but just from fast evaporation. And if you get this in your like tear duct or, you know, too close to the actual inside of your eyes, I mean, I haven't tried it, but I think you would end up with a little bit of a burning sensation. I got a little close once and it didn't burn, but I could definitely feel a little bit of a stinging sensation for maybe 1 to 2 seconds. It dissipated pretty much immediately, but you know, I would just say be careful not to get it too close to the inside of your eyes. So I would personally not try using these on the waterline or anything like that. I wouldn't feel comfortable doing something like that with a product like this. So personal opinion, but just be safe with your eyes. That is everything I have for you today with this review, and I hope it was helpful. If there is anything that I missed, please let me know. I'd be happy to answer any questions. And if you have tried these shadows, particularly if you've tried any of the other 3 that I do not have, I'd love to know what you think of them and what you think of the colors. I'm probably gonna end up picking up Ultraviolet during one of the Sephora sales. So I would really love to know your opinions on those shades. Thank you so much for watching today. And if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you haven't already and hit that notification bell. I hope to see you in my next video. So have a great day. Stay safe and healthy.